Group of people that keep coming back, and they're like lifers for the Buckeye Trail Association, but they're very welcoming, and it's a very, friendly environment. So you would show up on a typical work party on a Friday night, and you would find the place that has been organized to camp. And Saturday morning, on a somewhat strict schedule, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, the crew leaves and goes out to the trail to either build new Buckeye Trail off-road as a primitive hiking trail, or to repair some damage that has happened. So a group of 10 to 30 people are camping together, they're eating together, they're going out into the woods, and they're working from 9 until 3 or so, as hard as they want and no harder because they're volunteers. And they come back and they eat, and they camp together again, and our work parties usually last 4.5 days.
Okay, Andrew, I'm going to stop you for a moment because I just want to, for people who are just joining us, I'm speaking with Andrew Bashaw, the Executive Director of Ohio's Buckeye Trail Association, and I'm here also with Paul Stutzman, author of Hiking Through and a through hiker of the Appalachian Trail himself. And I am Ellen Botnick, and this is Forum360. Andrew, I just want to ask you, if people are interested in finding out more about the Buckeye Trail Association and Buckeye Trail, what website is there to go to?
BuckeyeTrail.org has everything that you need there.
And is there an email address where they can contact you should they want to?
Yep, director@BuckeyeTrail.org.
And your phone number?
Is 740-777-6282.
Okay. I'm going to go for a moment back to Paul, and I want to, you described in short order your Appalachian Trail experience, and I want to ask you, when did you decide that you were going to write a book about your experience? You're the author of Hiking Through, and when did that idea come to you? Was it before you went on your hike or during the hike?
The idea of writing a book came to me several years ago. I'd been in the restaurant business for 25 years, and I'd learned a lot about human nature, and so I thought I'd like to write a book someday, just a book about life, a book about living. And then once I got on the trail, I thought, well, the Appalachian Trail, the trail itself would be a good vehicle to tell stories about life. But once I got on the trail and realized how healing it was becoming from losing my wife, I thought that the book took a completely different turn. It became more a book about recovery from grief and how nature and the people you meet are incredible. And I met other, especially men that I met who'd also lost their spouses, and we had a dialogue going, how is this affecting you? And so the hike actually became a healing hike, and then the book turned more into how the Appalachian Trail was healing for me, and how it now helps other people in similar situations. I get emails every day from across America from people who read the book, and they said they felt like I was following you, and I know why you're out there.
I actually read the book, and it's on any level, even as a story, it's really interesting with the characters that you've met. How can people, do you have a website, Paul? I
have a website. It's my name, paulstutzman.com. And if they go on that website, they can order the book. There's links there that they can order the book from. And my email address is roadrunner.com, and they can contact me there too.
Now I want to ask both of you, but since we're talking to Paul, but also Andrew, when people do these hikes, this is a 4-season event, right? You hike, it doesn't matter. It's not, you're not waiting. You, Paul, when you were hiking the Appalachian Trail, you were not waiting for good weather each day, right?
Oh my. If I would have waited for good weather, I'd still be stuck in Georgia, because the first 6 days it rained, and in the Smokies, snowstorms, Maryland, a tornado, and New Hampshire, Maine, rain every day. So you'll get all kinds of weather conditions, but the trail is so applicable to life. It's persistence, it's goal setting, it's planning, and but once you pull one of these hikes off, you're a changed person. It is incredible.
How have you changed? Tell me how you have changed.
Well, when I went on the hike, there again, I'd been in business for actually 40-some years, and once you get out on that hike, the stress level just drops, and really what happens is you have to face yourself, and sometimes that's scary. Because we spend a lot of time denying, and because we're busy and we don't want to face all our fears. Once you're on the trail, you're there by yourself, and depending where you're at physically, spiritually, the physical part will come. There'll become a day when you're in shape. Then it's a mental thing. Do I want to do this? Can I do this? But once you pull it off and you see that sign on top of Mount Katahdin that says you've done it, it's an incredible feeling.
I can imagine. I've done. You guys were supposed to ask me, am I a hiker? I am a hiker, but I've never done an epic hike like that. But I definitely know the sort of Zen feeling you get, the peaceful feeling that you get hiking.
So what was the most strenuous hiking?
You don't have to ask about me. It's okay. But
well, you're in shape, so obviously you do a lot of hiking.
I do hiking, but I love hiking in Ohio. I've hiked a lot of places, but I always go back to the Buckeye Trail. And I do want Andrew to tell us about some of the events that come during the year. There's the Buckeye Trail Fest. What is that?
Buckeye Trail Fest is our annual event, and this year we're going to be having it in April 2013, April 27th, and it'll be in Kirtland, Ohio, at Red Oak Camp, surrounded by Holden Arboretum, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a couple hundred people that show up and celebrate all things Buckeye Trail and go for lots of organized hikes and visit places in the region. We move our fest around every year, so this is Northeast Ohio's opportunity, to be a little bit closer to our volunteers, our members, our users of the Buckeye Trail, and get together and learn something. So we're pretty excited about that. Back to your question about the weather and Four Seasons, we're going to have it. It's going to be fun no matter what the weather, and the weather is part of the challenge. Exactly. And it's also part of the changing landscape, that the same trail in winter under snow, in spring under rain, in summer and foliage, etc., and fall in the fall foliage. It changes the same place 100 times over depending on the day, and it's a new experience every time. So this winter, there's a series of winter hikes that the Buckeye Trail has been involved in, and I can't say all of the dates, but at Findlay State Park, at Houston Woods State Park, at Hocking Hills, and at Burrock, we have a winter hike that folks should go to our events page.
Again, what is the website, Andrew, for people to go to find out more about the Buckeye Trail?
BuckeyeTrail.org. And then there's an events page there that will highlight all of these great winter weather events.
And just to give and also here this is the Trailblazer, which is the magazine from the Buckeye Trail Association. Buckeye Trail relies a lot on volunteers and memberships. Mm-hmm. So can you just tell us briefly about to join as a member? It's not a big investment at all, is it?
An individual member is $20, and for $20 we provide the magazine and so many services. But the main point of being a member is you believe in the vision of the Buckeye Trail. It's continually growing and improving and needs more volunteers, more awareness, more users. And so for $20, I can only imagine how I've wasted $20 on things that counted less than that. But being a member of the Buckeye Trail Association is being part of something bigger, and a movement that started in the 1950s and is always growing and getting better. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to meet like-minded people and get involved and give back, especially for hikers. I've hiked all my life, but what can I do to give back so that other people can hike all their lives as well?
I want to get back to the meeting like-minded people, because Paul, in your book, you have all these characters that you've met, and most of them, really pretty much all of them, are men. Do you think men seem to hike with men on the trail, and who are you keeping in touch with? Who really do you keep thinking about from your hike?
There were several men that really had an impact on me, and so the ones that lost spouses obviously were, but for me, probably the one that I keep the closest contact with is, and we all have trail names on the trail. My name's Paul, so my trail name was Apostle. And my favorite hiking partner was Padre, a Catholic priest on a sabbatical. And him and I keep in contact together, because it's just unusual that I was born Amish and raised Mennonite, and I hear a Mennonite and a Catholic priest are hiking the trail together, and we're just having a great time and great conversation, and we call each other. But it was interesting, with what the reason I was out there is because I was grieving, and of course here's a gentleman that knows about the grieving process and the conversation, and it was just amazing how, to me, it was just people that I met on and on up the trail. And it's like, if I needed to know something, and I wasn't a great hiker, but I met people that knew about tying bear bags from trees. and they taught me this. And I met a fella, I call him Einstein in the book, who was out there just basically reliving his life, everything, rethinking himself, what I was taught. And it's a great education out there, hiking in the woods.
Did you run across many women hiking alone, or what was your interaction with women on the trail?
I'm just guessing at this, but I'd say it's probably about 90% men, 10% ladies.
Really?
Generally what happens with the ladies when they start hiking, and it's usually a younger college crowd, is that they'll go with a group. I met a few ladies, and the thing is, a lot of times people think it's not safe out there, but the reality is it's very safe. There's been a few incidents on the trail, and when it happens, it's news because it's nature. It shouldn't happen. But I never felt scared out there. Maybe a time or two of animals, but not from people. People, they're just good people out there hiking. So for ladies, generally they'd be with a group of people, and where a lot of us men, we were kind of by ourselves, and then toward evening we'd kind of get together at shelters, and that's when we had our discussions.
And I wanted to talk about it. So for staying on, and I want Andrew to chime in too in our time remaining. You didn't typically, you would stay in either in. Tell me, in like a camp or an inn, or what was your typical arrangement? And I want to hear from Andrew. How can you do that on the Buckeye Trail? So,
I had a tent along, so most nights I'm camped in the woods. On the Appalachian Trail, there's 80-some three-sided wooden shelters, and you can sleep in these shelters. They're rough. Obviously, you're going to have people in there snoring, keeping you awake. So I'm usually in a tent. And there's also a lot of road crossings. And so I've got a guidebook which shows all the road crossings, all the towns. So about once a week, I'd come to a road crossing and I'd hitchhike. And I'd hitchhike into town, and that's when I do my laundry, get my food drops. I would call home and I'd have them send me a box of food that I had prepared, and they'd send it to the post office.
Was that freeze-dried, or what kind of food?
It was freeze-dried food, right. And then I had my little stove with water that I had filtered. I'd heat the water, and then I'd pour it into this pouch with dehydrated meals. Wait about 15 minutes, and then I'd have a good meal. But on the trail, you're burning about 7,000 calories a day, and the average person takes in 2. So I lost 40 pounds on that trail. So it's hard to eat enough food on the trail.
Andrew, if someone wants to do a through hike or a section hike, how can they find resources? And are there inns along the way or campgrounds? And how does that look for the future?
It's improving. I think one of the barriers to long distance hiking on the Buckeye Trail is thankfully the experience that people have on the Appalachian Trail, that a lot of people have done it and they've seen it done, and so there's a comfort level there that it can be done. And since there have been fewer on the Buckeye Trail and it's not as obvious, there's a barrier there where I'm not sure that I can. Part of the joy.
But there is, but they can. We know they can.
Yes, yeah. But people have to figure it out. They have to do their research. In some places it's very easy, and some locations along the Miami-Erie Canal, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a town as you hike along the Miami-Erie Canal, because that's the way the towns were set up. And in southern Ohio, we have some gaps between national forest and state parks, where you would expect camping. And we really depend a lot on trail angels. And trail angels is a concept of people giving, to hikers, to provide them resources they need to continue their hike. And from what I've heard from AT hikers in Ohio, they are overwhelmed with the friendliness and the support of people in Ohio, whether that be from the Buckeye Trail Association or just local folks.
Well, I think that we in Northeast Ohio are blessed to have the Buckeye Trail, and it's practically in each of our own backyards. And if you finish the Buckeye Trail or you want another adventure, there is the Appalachian Trail, about which we've heard some from Paul. I know he can talk for a long time on this. I want to thank you both, Andrew Bashaw from the Buckeye Trail Association and Paul Stutzman, author of Hiking Through. Thank you so much we are grateful for your